Welcome to the subject, English for Environmental Science.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the subject, English for Environmental Science. My name is Đoàn Vân Kiều. I'm a lecturer in the Faculty of Foreign Languages at Hanoi University of Natural Resources and Environment. Today, we will dive into Unit 4, Urbanization. Before we begin today's lesson, let's look at the lesson objectives. By the end of this unit, you will be able to identify the main causes and impacts of urbanization, explain environmental challenges related to urban growth, describe the effects of urbanization and biodiversity and natural resources, apply sustainable urban planning solutions, and evaluate the relationship between urbanization and environmental sustainability. These objectives will help you better understand how rapid urban development affects both society and the environment. Now, let's take a quick look at the contents of today's lesson. Our lesson is divided into 4 main parts: reading, writing, speaking, and translation. In the reading section, we will explore texts related to urbanization and environmental issues. In writing, you will learn how to express your opinions and develop ideas logically. In speaking, you will practice discussing real-world urban problems and possible solutions. Finally, in translation, you will improve your ability to translate environmental topics accurately between English and Vietnamese. Now, we move to the first part of today's lesson, reading. In this section, you will read passages about urbanization and its environmental impacts. While reading, please pay attention to the causes of urbanization, the environmental challenges in cities, and possible sustainable solutions for urban development. You also try to identify key vocabulary and important supporting ideas in the text. Now, let's begin with the short reading activities. Please look at the 3 discussion questions on the screen. These questions are related to urbanization and environmental issues in modern cities. I'd like you to think about your own experiences and observations before answering. You can discuss these questions with your classmates or share your ideas individually. These activities will help us activate background knowledge and prepare for today's reading topic. Now, let's look at some suggested ideas for question 1. As cities become larger and more crowded, many noticeable changes can happen. First, we can see more buildings and infrastructure such as roads, bridges, and public facilities. Second, traffic congestion becomes more serious because more people use private vehicles. This often leads to longer commuting times and increased air pollution. Another important change is the reduction of green spaces. Parks and trees are sometimes replaced by buildings and urban projects. In addition, cities require more resources such as water, electricity, and waste management systems. Finally, people's lifestyle also changes. Urban residents may have more job opportunities and better services, but they may also experience more stress and faster pace of life. Now, we move to question 2 about environmental problems in modern cities. There are several serious environmental issues caused by rapid urbanization. One major problem is air pollution, which mainly comes from vehicles, factories, and construction activities. This can negatively affect human health and air quality. Another issue is waste management. Large cities produce huge amounts of waste every day, and improper disposal can create pollution problems. Water pollution and water scarcity are also becoming more serious in many urban areas. In addition, urban expansions often reduce green spaces and natural habitats, leading to biodiversity loss. Finally, modern cities may experience urban overheating, also known as urban heat island effect, because concrete and buildings absorb heat. Next, let's discover about how cities can become more environmentally friendly and sustainable. There are many practical solutions that cities can apply. First, government should promote green transportation, such as public transport, recycling, and walking to reduce pollution and traffic congestion. Second, cities should save energy and use cleaner energy sources like solar and wind power. Another important solution is increasing green spaces by planting more trees and creating parks and green roofs. In addition, people should reduce, reuse, and recycle waste to protect the environment. Finally, cities should protect water resources and natural habitats to improve environmental sustainability and quality of life. Now, we move to the reading comprehension section. Please read the passage titled Urbanization and Environmental Challenges. While reading, pay attention to following points. The causes of urbanization, environmental problems in urban areas, impacts on ecosystem and biodiversity, and possible sustainable solutions. Try to identify the main ideas in each paragraph and underline important vocabulary and supporting details. After reading, we will complete several comprehension and vocabulary activities related to the text. Now, let's continue with Task 2. Please read each statement carefully and decide whether it is true or false based on the reading passage. While doing this activity, try to identify keywords in the statements, locate the related information in the text, and compare the meaning carefully. Remember that some statements may contain small changes in meaning, so pay attention to words such as increase, decrease, more, less, or protect. You can work individually first and then compare the answer with your classmates. Now, let's check the answer together. For false statements, pay attention to the incorrect words or ideas and compare them with the original information in the text. For example, in sentence 3, the text says, urbanization increases the demand of housing and transportation, not decrease. In sentence 4, cities generate more waste, not less waste. Next, we move to task number 3, multiple choice questions. Please choose the best answer for each question based on the reading passage. These questions focus on the main ideas of the text, causes and effects of urbanization, environmental challenges, and sustainable solutions. Now, let's check the answer together. Most of the correct answer can be found directly in the reading passive, while some questions require inference and deeper understanding. For example, question 1 asks about the main topic of the text, so we need to focus on the overall content of the passive. Question 7 requires the inference because the answer is implied rather than stated directly. Question 10 focuses on the main message of the text, especially the importance of sustainable urban planning. Please review any incorrect answers and try to understand why the other options are not suitable. Now, we move to the vocabulary section. In this part, we will learn some important words and phrases related to urbanization and environmental issues. This vocabulary item will help you understand the reading passage more easily, improve your speaking and writing skills, and use academic English more effectively. Please pay attention to the meanings, pronunciation, and the real-life uses of each term. Here are some key vocabulary items related to topics. These terms are commonly used when discussing urban development, environmental problems, and sustainability. For example, urbanization refers to the process of people moving to the cities. Air pollution means contamination of the air by harmful substances. Waste management involves collecting and treating waste materials properly. Please try to memorize these words and use them in sentences or discussion later in the lesson. Now, let's move to the first vocabulary activities, matching. In this chart, you need to match the terms in column A with their correct definitions in column B. Please read both the vocabulary words and the definition carefully before choosing your answers. While doing this activity, try to focus on keywords in each definition, the meaning of environmental terms, and the context clues related to urbanization and sustainability. This activity will help reinforce the key vocabulary from today's reading passive. Now, let's check the answers together. For example, air pollution refers to contamination of the air caused by harmful substances. Flash flooding means sudden overflow of water after heavy rainfall. Green spaces are areas in cities covered with vegetation such as parks and gardens. Please pay attention to these important environmental terms because they are common use in academic reading, writing, and speaking activities. Next, we move to task 2, fill in the blanks. In these activities, you will need to choose the correct words or phrases from the word bank. Complete the sentences. Please read each sentence carefully and identify grammar clues, topic-related vocabulary, and contextual meaning. For example, if a sentence talks about pollution from vehicles and factories, the correct answer is likely air pollution. This exercise helps improve both vocabulary recognition and contextual understanding. Now, let's check the answers together. Notice how each vocabulary item fits logically into sentence context. For example, urbanization describes the rapid expansion of cities. Waste disposal relates to the managing and shifting waste materials. Water scarcity refers to a shortage of water resources. Biodiversity loss happens when natural habitats are destroyed. Green spaces have improved environmental quality in cities. These words are important for discussing environmental challenges and sustainable urban development. Now, we move to the writing section. In this part, we will express two important writing skills: summarizing key ideas and writing an argumentative essay. These activities will help you improve the ability to organize ideas, express opinions clearly, and use academic English effectively. Please pay attention to writing structure, linking words and supporting details while completing the test. Now, let's begin with task 1, summarizing the key ideas. Please read the passage carefully and identify the most important information in each paragraph. When writing a summary, remember, do not copy the original text directly. Use your own words as much as possible, and focus only on the main ideas and supporting points. The text mainly discusses the rapid urbanization, environmental challenges, pressures on infrastructure and resources, and sustainable urban development solutions. Try to write the concise and coherent summaries of the passage. Here are some suggested key ideas from the reading passage. At the center of the topic is urbanization and sustainable cities. The passage highlights several major issues related to rapid urban growth, including environmental challenges such as pollution and climate change, loss of natural habitats and biodiversity, pressures on infrastructure and public services, and increasing demand for energy and resources. The passage also emphasizes sustainable solutions such as improving public transportation, increasing green spaces, and promoting renewable energy. This idea helps students better organize information before writing a summary or essay. Now, let's move to task 2, writing an opinion essay. Before writing, think carefully about the opinions, supporting reasons, examples, and possible counter-arguments. A good argumentative essay should include an introduction of clear thesis statement, body paragraphs with explanation and examples, and a conclusion that restates the opinion clearly. This slide shows a suggested outline for the argumentative essay. First, in the introduction, you should introduce the topic and clearly state your opinion. Then, in body paragraph 1, discuss the environmental and social challenges caused by urbanization, such as pollution, climate change, overcrowding, and pressures on resources. In body paragraph 2, you can mention the benefits of urbanization, including economic development, innovation, and a better job opportunities. You may also include a counter-argument to show balanced thinking. Finally, in the conclusion, summarize the main points and emphasize the importance of sustainable development. Here are also some useful expressions for writing an argumentative essay. For introductions, you can use phrases such as, urbanization is one of the most significant global changes today. While cities offer economic opportunities, they also create serious challenges. To express opinions, you can say, I strongly believe that, or from my perspective, or it can be argued that. To develop arguments, use linking expressions like, for instance. Another significant issue is this results in. For counter-arguments, you may use. Some people argue that, however, nevertheless, and for conclusions, you should use in conclusions. Overall, it is evident that. Therefore, sustainable urban planning is essential. Now, let's look at the model essay. This essay presents a balanced discussion about the positive and negative impacts of urbanization. The writer clearly states the opinion in the introduction and supports with the logical arguments and examples in the body paragraphs. Notice how the essays use academic vocabulary, linking words, topic sentences, and supporting examples effectively. The conclusion summarizes the main arguments and reinforces the importance of sustainable urban planning. While reading the essay, pay attention to the structure and language features that you can apply in your own writing. Now, we move to speaking section. In this part, you will have the opportunity to discuss the real-world issues related to urbanization and environmental sustainability. You are encouraged to share your own ideas, opinions, and experiences using the vocabulary and knowledge learned in the previous sections. Please try to speak clearly and confidently. Use appropriate academic vocabulary and support your ideas with examples whenever possible. This activity will help improve your communication skills as well as your critical thinking about urban development issues. Now, let's move to the pair discussion activity. You will work with a partner to discuss several questions related to urbanization and city life. The discussion topics focus on the effects of urbanization on quality of life, environmental problems in cities, social inequality, overcrowding, and sustainable urban planning solutions. Each pair is required to record a short discussion video and submit it through the Google Drive link provided by the teacher. While discussing, please express your opinions clearly. Listen carefully to your partner and try to use vocabulary and ideas from today's lesson. Before starting your discussion, please read the instructions carefully. First, choose a partner and discuss 3 to 5 questions from the list provided. The discussion video should last about 5 to 10 minutes. Please make sure that both students participate equally. The audio is clear and you speak English throughout the discussion. When recording the video, try to speak naturally and confidently. Just support ideas with reasons or examples and interact actively with your partner. After completing the task, upload the video to Google Drive link shared by the teacher. Now, we move to the final section of this unit, translation. In this part, we will practice 2 important translation skills. Task 1, English to Vietnamese translation. Task 2, Vietnamese to English translation. You know, translation is not only about changing words from one language to another, it also requires understanding meaning and context. Using appropriate vocabulary and expressing ideas naturally and accurately. Please pay attention to grammar, sentence structure, and logical connection while translating. Now, let's begin with task 1, English to Vietnamese translation. Please read the passage carefully before translating. The passage discusses urbanization, environmental challenges, pollution, energy consumption, and sustainable urban planning. While translating, try to understand the overall meaning first. Translate naturally instead of word by word, and choose suitable Vietnamese expressions. Pay attention to important academic vocabulary such as urbanization, greenhouse gas emissions, sustainable urban planning, and public transportation. Before translating, let's review some important translation strategies. First, always understanding the overall meaning of the paragraph. Do not translate sentence by sentence in ideas. Second, translate naturally and clearly in Vietnamese. Remember that a good translation should sound smooth and understandable for readers. You should also pay attention to sentence structures, linking words, grammar, and context-specific vocabulary. Finally, after finishing the translation, remember to review the work carefully for accuracy and coherence. Now, let's look at the suggested Vietnamese translation. You can compare this version with your own translation to identify strengths and areas for improvement. We move to Task 2, Vietnamese to English translation. This paragraph focuses on urbanization in Vietnam, especially in large cities such as Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. While translating into English, please pay attention to grammar accuracy, verb tenses, academic vocabulary, and sentence coherence. Try to avoid translating word for word from Vietnamese. Instead, express the ideas naturally and clearly in English academic style. Here are some important tips for Vietnamese to English translation. First, understanding the whole paragraph and identify the writer's main idea. Second, use natural English sentences structure instead of directed copying Vietnamese pattern. You should also pay attention to correct verb tenses, subject-verb agreement, linking expressions, and academic vocabulary. For example, phrases like traffic congestion, urban development, and green spaces are commonly used in environmental and urban studies. Finally, always check grammar, spelling, punctuation, and logical flow after completing your translation. Now, let's review the suggested English translation. This version uses formal academic language and clear sentence structures. Notice how the translation, organized ideologically, uses suitable vocabulary and maintains coherence between sentences. Please pay attention to useful expressions such as traffic congestion, vehicle emissions, sustainable urban development, and public transportation systems. You can use these expressions in the future writing, speaking, and translation activities.
That brings us to the end of Unit 4, Urbanization. Today we have practiced reading, vocabulary, writing, speaking, and translation. We'll also explore both the positive and negative impacts of urbanization and discuss the importance of sustainable development. Before we finish, remember these important messages. First, sustainable city create a better future. Second, green spaces improve quality of life. The third, public transportation helps reduce pollution. And the last one, small environmental actions can make a big difference. Thank you very much for your attention. Let's work together for cleaner, greener, and more sustainable cities. See you in the next lessons.